Yeah, and Betty can't put her video up because she's driving, and I suggest no one
No, yes.
really do this without parking. It's kind of one of those things where again, we all are multitasking, but we don't want to distract ourselves from driving while we
Yeah,
can.
safety
I
first.
need to close the gas.
Okay, Betty, are you driving? Can you pull over to the side for a few minutes? Because we don't want to hear you driving, running down the 405 at 90 miles an hour. Oh, wait a minute. So we're recording now. So
Should I go ahead on and introduce myself, or?
yeah, well, Betty, are you here? Just give a shout out if you can hear us.
I'm here. Betty's here. I can hear you guys. Sorry about that. Yeah, I am driving.
Okay. Is there any chance you can pull over just for a few minutes? And then, again, I'm going to ask if you can give me 5 minutes, pull over video, and then you can go back to driving. Or are you late for an appointment for something that you got to get to?
Oh, okay.
And there's a reason why I want the video, your video up, because I want to introduce you to everybody. But also, I'm recording this because I want to introduce you guys to someone who may be willing to help put some real wind beneath our sails. Betty? Oh, Betty.
Yes. The audio is going in and out. So.
My audio?
Yeah, your audio was going in and out. I'm pulling over right now. I just got off of the freeway. So I'm Betty Simpson. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Okay.
Hi, Betty. How are you?
This is, and just a little context. I did a panel for Mobile World Congress, LA, about 5 months ago. And one of the panelists was driving in their car, and it was pre-recorded. They had a director. I mean, it was a whole full-blown thing. And when we finished the panel, our panel was disqualified because the person driving, well, they were driving, but they didn't say they were driving, but they could tell they were driving because they saw the headrest in the frame. And because they're a mobile cell phone based company, they can't promote anything that shows people doing voice, video, or data while driving, even if they're parked. So I had a whole productions crushed because the person was talking on their phone on a live stream or Zoom or whatever. So it's one of those things that I learned the hard way that, we can't be really mobile in a vehicle doing any type of two-way communication that's going to show up on anybody's business, board. So, and it's really unprofessional if you're trying to get somebody's attention driving and talking to them, whether it be an interview, a business meeting. There's probably going to be a lot more campaigns coming out about driving while on video, texting, chatting. Basically, it's akin to driving while drunk. So, anyway, just enough. I'm just blathering on. But okay, Jennifer, I think we got Betty. We got you, Betty? If you can, open up your mic.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. Lights, camera, action. Jennifer, you're on. Introduce yourself.
Hi guys. Yeah, so my name's Jennifer. I'm from Texas. I've been out in California now for about 15 years. I went to U of H for 2 years, took a break, then I came out and transferred to SMC for another year, took another break to focus on acting. Done a few commercials. I've produced some low budget stuff on my own with friends, and now I'm back in school. I'm getting a minor in media management and a BA in communications, mass media. So yeah, that's me.
Great. Well, Jennifer, I have a question. You're still attending U of H, or are you?
No, I transferred to SMC a while ago.
Okay. And SMC has a degree that will give you the media management. Is it a certification or?
Yeah, associates, and then I'm gonna have to transfer for the communications bachelor's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, great. Well, I think everybody else knows everybody on this call. And the reason why we're still meeting on Wednesdays does give us a chance to at least show up in a group form. But because we got this date of April 28th, 1 to 2 p.m., I think it's going to be necessary for us to start meeting when and where we can, when some updates or something happens to allow us to try and communicate, something that we have to put in action. So I wanted to share with the team that I have been talking to some corporate partners, and I won't call them sponsors because I'm trying to find people who can give us some long-term um, opportunities to take them on as a client. Now, the client that they would be really is for us to turn them into a client by being some type of an agency. Could be an advertising agency, a media agency, event planning agency, or all of the above. But I believe that's the kind of engagement that I can envision, allowing all of us to get something that allows this to be a real world, real time situation where we could actually get somebody to say, man, job well done, on time, on schedule, rather, on budget, and be compensated for it. So in a perfect world, that's what I'm looking for. So, this is no more, Harry High School stuff where we're trying to do classwork and we're trying to figure out, how to get you guys, into the frame of education, the workforce. Well, what does that really mean to me anymore? For me, I'm looking to try and get every aspect of this thing monetized. So I've asked Terrence to come on because I don't know anybody better to help me take media and everything that media entails and try to monetize it, especially in a futuristic way. Things that are still being learned and still being, formulated. That's what I believe Terrence can help us do, is to make sure that anything we're learning from him to any client will allow us to be competitive and allow us to be ahead of a lot of the other agencies who are just doing, what they can to serve the client based on what the client needs or what the client even knows. Sometimes, again, Terrence said, hey, we need to learn everything known and unknown about where things are going. So, again, that's why I believe Terrence is the best person to introduce you guys to how he does things and how he has to stay ahead of the curve every day. And so I've asked him to produce this event so that not just he's pulling levers and pushing buttons, but he's giving us some strategy on how to make sure that whatever it is that we're going to showcase to the California State University Entertainment Alliance and their audience is going to be the kind of futuristic stuff that I believe they've asked for. And that really entails potentially putting together even a case study that will allow us to show after the event's over, this is how we did it. This is the outcome. And then, again, if we want to make them a client, we could actually at some point negotiate our fair market value for what it is we did differently than the 12. I think there's 12 other events going on or activities going on that day of the 28th of April. Their event starts at 9 o'clock in the morning and it ends at 4 p.m. I got a chance to look, and Terrence, I don't know if you've seen it, but they actually have they have the events at a glance. And the last event that they have, scheduled in there is the title that I gave Dina almost a month ago. And they don't have any of the information or the sponsors or partners in there. It's just blank. But all the other panels and speakers are populated inside of their latest updates on what this event is.
Is and our panel is there?
It's there. It's there. It just doesn't have any of the guts like some of the other panels have the title. So we got the title, but they actually have who's going to present that title. So they've got the I'm going to put it up. They've got the
actually, I'm looking for it right now. I see the main page. I'll put the link, by the way.
Scroll down and hit
draft letter
events.
show.
Scroll down and hit events, and then in events you can go 428
Okay,
to the
got
actual
it.
summit.
Virtual events.
Let me share a screen with you, Terrence, so then maybe you can put that up.
Yeah, I'll do that. 428, it says, got it.
Yeah, and so we still have to submit not only the title, because I actually worded it a little differently than what she has it, but we have to submit, as close as possible to the who, what, why, where, and how. It really will become the run of show, but nobody's going to see the run of show on the publication part of it. It's going to just be the abstract or the title plus the log line.
Right. Did you want me to share screen, or you sharing your screen?
Why don't you share yours?
Okay, sure.
Okay, yeah. And so because I really want to get in and out.
I think your screen is up. Okay, let me hit share. You disabled screen sharing, so I need you to allow me to screen share. I'm looking at your screen.
All right, hold on.
I think we're all looking at your screen.
Let me do it again here.
There you go. Cool. See if it'll let me. You need to enable me for screen sharing.
How about now?
Yep, I'm in.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, and I will share with you guys what I'm looking at. Give me 2 seconds here. Entertainment Alliance.
And just in case, I'm going to put it in the chat box as a link, just in case here.
So hopefully you guys see where it says Entertainment Alliance.
Yeah.
And so this,
entertainment, yeah. So
but that's not clickable.
No, click.
So do I have
request an invite today? That'll take you to it. And scroll down. There you go.
But that's it.
Yeah. So who will have a job behind? Who will
Got
have
it. Who will have a job next year and why?
Right. Was what I gave her, but again, that's a placeholder.
Okay, so we just need to get them the information. Let me show you guys this. So I put this in the folder. It's in the Google folder already. And I don't know if you guys can see this. Let me try to blow it up a little bit. 100. Better?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, don't worry about that. That's old stuff. That's all. All right. Oh, hold on. Wrong one. Sorry. This is us. As you can tell, I've been doing this for a minute, so that was on the old ones. Here you go. So here's our event title, which we'd want to get updated. When Worlds Collide, right? It's part of that series. Who'll be working in the creative tech Hollywood economy by this time next year? So, and this, by the way, everything you're looking at is in the Google Drive. So I think Jennifer, I may need to get you access to the Google Drive so you can see all of this if you haven't, but I'll invite you there. Okay. Wednesday, 4/28, 1 to 2 p.m. via Hop-In, right? We want to get our credentials and all the stuff for Hop-In. They'll help us understand that part. Here's a program overview. It's a one-on-one discussion between Jeff, moderator, myself. I'll update this. 30 minutes, right? Including with B-roll. Next 30 minutes, this is next 30 minutes, we live Q&A, but really the way we've got this scheduled out is we're probably gonna do stuff before that and include Q&A in his 30 minutes to be respectful. And we need to script that out, right? So what we need is his questions for that period. I'd love the questions to be, say, 20 minutes, leave 10 minutes for Q&A. I built in another 30 minutes before him that we can talk about. So this is me, a spotlight Jeff's point of view on recommendations for students, faculty, and this is what we've given to Jeff. And probably we need to get this back to Dina. Audience, and this is what I got from Dina, right? The audience consists of 3,000 to 6,000 participants, leaders. These are the places, right? So this describes the summit. So this was describing that to Jeff. And then here's the link to the page that we just looked at. So as I run a show, initially looking at an overview where I do a welcome and introductions, 3 to 5 minutes, just really letting people know what's going to happen. then I imagine we'll kick to Dina, right? Because she's ultimately our sponsor in this whole thing, right? Kick to her, and then have Kevin do the Dakar overview, vision, mission, where we sit, right? And then I have the Dakar team members, right? And we can edit this, but each of you guys would get 2 to 3 minutes, including a reel. So Jennifer, I've seen your reel, right? I think it's just about 2 minutes. So that would give you, the other minute or so to sort of set yourself up, and the rest you could, or you do a cut down, right? You could say, hey, of your 2 minute reel, you want to talk for a minute and 30. It should be tight to whatever you want. But this really is your chance to set yourself up for who you are, and hopefully, what role you'll end up playing in this production, right? So I want to give all of you guys, the time here, and then we have 3 minutes left if we do it on that level, right, to do an internal promotion or a sponsor if we were to get one, right? So I left a minute break in between the beginning and when we go to Jeff for that sort of break, right, that moment here, which is sort of natural mid-roll, whatever you want to call it. We could also set something up at the beginning if we needed to. Then we feature guest Jeff Clanagan, 30 minutes including Q&A. Here's who he is. Here's his picture. Here's the article on him in Deadline. Just so people can get a perspective of his most recent role, right? And so here's where we really need to fill in the gaps of this 30 minutes. What are the questions? We want to get them vetted, right? Make sure that we know who's going to ask them. We had talked about potentially having each of you ask a question, right? So maybe I'll do a leadoff question, have you guys do it, or I do a wrap up, something like that. And then we allow for external Q&A. And so somebody's probably got to monitor the social media. We need to figure out a way through Hopin to have people submit things during the presentation so that we can acquire questions and figure who we're going to call on. So that's something we need to figure out production wise, so that we can get 4 or 5 people from the audience into it to ask a question. And this is a question we have to ask Kevin about audio or video, or how do we let somebody in that's in the audience when we want to do that for Q&A? Can we? Right? If not, we could read off a question if they could submit, and we could read it and he could give an answer, right? If they can't come in and ask it themselves.
Right.
And maybe that's better production wise.
Right. So Terrence, Terrence, what I plan on doing is right after this call is to submit this video to Dina with questions that we need to have about Hopin and its capabilities for us to do whatever we think we can do to showcase our assets.
Yeah, and I'd like to test it, right? I would love to have us be able to get into a Hopin account, do it, record it, make sure we understand how to do that, just so, in a production world, we're testing our production, right? And we come in and we fill in, hey, we're gonna ask Jeff this, and we're there, and you guys get to practice, right? your stuff, right? Coming in, getting your thing down to your 2 to 3 minutes, right? I think those are important moments from a production perspective. Again, Kevin, yourself, right? Here's your scripted piece. Here's what you're going to say, how we're going to tee it up. Make sure Dina's cool on what she wants to say. Is there somebody else she might want us to include that we don't know? So,
right. To date, I have one person. He is a executive from JP Morgan Chase who has a sports and entertainment division that includes not only focusing on bringing financial literacy, their brand of financial literacy that connects to sports and entertainment. But really what it does is to try and provide some influencers to help understand how to break the barriers to gaps in generational wealth building. And
you could slide him here then. I mean, if that's the case, right? So again, this is where I think we have a slide. If you see him, and it'd be great for you to position him as, hey, if you could have got JP Morgan to give us some cash, right? That'd be brought to you by, and this is you, right? This is your pitch to this audience of what you do services wise or whatever the case may be.
Right. And so they have an initiative right now that's a Black achievement. Actually, it's called Black Advancement Pathways. Kevin Hart is one of their sponsors. Melanie Hobson and about 4 or 5 other people have been going around the world, not just the country, to talk about.
Can we get a video?
Oh man, yeah. I actually, why don't I put it?
Especially if Kevin Hart is. I mean, this is what's really cool, right? If you're saying Kevin Hart is a guy who's there, and we're talking about getting everybody to introduce Laugh Out Loud, then certainly something here that talks about his advocacy that fits like really, really well.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I did, I didn't know before I met this gentleman. Actually, I had a conversation with him on the phone today that there was so much content on YouTube about um, Kevin Hart's campaign. And literally what I saw and what I asked this guy is, hey, could you envision my group of people producing some of this short form media for all the things you guys are doing in LA? And he came up with a scenario that, wow, we, invested a lot of money in one of our community Chase centers and turned it into a soundstage, a studio, and a place where we were going to do a lot of activities with some of our sports and entertainment influencers to generate kind of a news program to all of our other JP Morgan Chase outlets that never happened because of COVID. But obviously, with social distancing, production that could become back into play. We had a second meeting to talk about how Dakar could take a role in helping them create a summer bridge where some of that can come back in to the extent that it's safe and it's actionable. So what this guy is really interested in talking about is their financial literacy piece. But Terrence, I'm going to ask you, can you go to YouTube and just put in Heart for All? That's the name of the campaign that Kevin Hart's gone out to talk about, not only financial health, but physical health for Black folks. So it gives you some idea of the tie-in and how they, so Heart for All, JP Morgan Chase. Yeah, the second one, 1 minute and 30.
Heart of all?
Yeah.
Part of it all?
Yeah, that's the whole campaign, but maybe there's some video clips inside of that.
Watch the trailer.
You have your audio? We don't hear any audio. Terrence, do you have your audio available? Can anybody else hear the audio?
No.
Okay. It's interesting. I'm looking at some of this stuff. Some of this stuff shot inside a Heartbeat. That's shot inside of Heartbeat Studios.
Yeah, the blue with the blue curtain.
Yeah. So this was done this past summer. This
Right there, yeah.
campaign launched August of 2020. So before a lot of the production was shut down, they did a lot of stuff inside of the production studio. So anyway,
cool.
But this is not something that I have cleared yet with Jeff Clanagan nor Chase. I just want to give you some idea what could be coming down the pike. But
again, we can put it in that 3-minute slot, right? And that way it's movable, it's changeable, but we have a slot for it, right? So that's a 1-minute video that leaves 2 minutes for the JP Morgan Chase representative to talk about it. And there you go.
Yeah. So this gentleman here, let me see if I can find him. Terrence, if you can, I'm going to use your screen. Can you go to LinkedIn and put Jordan King? That's the gentleman that may be representing some part of the JP Morgan Chase Heart for All financial literacy program. But what he's interested in was my long-term interest in getting people their first paycheck, getting those people bankable, getting these people in a position where they understood how, if they ever got a paycheck, what to do with it.
Community manager for JP Morgan Chase?
Yes. So this is the guy that is what I've been looking for, is not someone, who can just, get a sponsorship, but actually can create some programming and talk about some of the things that I think are missing in the curriculum and in the personal and professional development of a lot of people. Hell, I need, some better financial literacy. I need to have a better strategy for figuring out how to manage any wealth that I might potentially have. So this is part of the narrative of things that I believe are part of the overall theme of the event, was the future of education in workforce. Well, especially in entertainment, you know, those folks who are getting paid in entertainment, they may be getting a lot more money than the average person, but how do they really protect, leverage it, and, you know, have the savings for a rainy day like pandemics? So it's become a lot more important for us to think about, you know, what happens after people graduate, after they get into a situation where they get hired. How do they manage all of the things happening afterwards so that they can have a healthy outcome? And I didn't talk to Dina about this, but I think she'd appreciate it, because what we really talked about um, initially was, how do we reform education so that it can be better preparing or prepping people for being adults, for being able to get not only a living wage, but a sustainable living lifestyle. And
Well, I
that's
mean, I
what.
think that's particularly different in entertainment, right? So I think if you take that entertainment lens and you look at what all of you folks are doing, right? Jennifer, I'm sure, right? You're working actress and trying to work behind the scenes and going to school. And Cameron, you're down here, and Betty, you have, I mean, we all have lives, right? And we all have all these things, and chasing dreams. And Hollywood is particularly difficult, right? Kevin, you know, right? I mean, it's okay, what else prepares you for a job that's generally a gig economy, right? The gig economy was talked about in terms of Uber and Lyft, but the biggest gig economy is the entertainment business, right? You hire actors, you get on a show. When you got a show, it's good. If you don't, you have a union that requires you to be on so many shows to be in a union, right? Try to get that card, right? That SAG card is worth gold, right? But SAG is like, now, if you don't do, and for benefits. So I was talking with a friend who was talking about SAG, right? And you look at a guy, Lou Grant, Ed Asner. Ed Asner has been the president of SAG, and yet, in order to keep SAG benefits, it says you have to work so many gigs every year. Well, Ed Asner's an old dude. He ain't gonna work anything. But you're saying that his benefits through SAG are not there, right? Because it's like, well, hopefully he's got money to save for a rainy day and doesn't need SAG benefits, right?
Right.
But there are a bunch of other actors who might still need those SAG benefits, because it's not like you have a corporate job paying this gig. It's not like you have a 401k. It's not like all those things. And trust me, I've been between companies that may have any varying levels of those, right? Everybody, I mean, Redbox, my blessing is they have unique things, because Redbox is sort of big, it's old school, right? They're a corporate entity. Why do I work at a corporate entity and not a startup? And I've worked at a lot of startups because of some security, right? If I got to check and that security, that means a lot. And I've worked in a lot of places where I have none of that. And I've taken a lot of risks, and it's just understanding your risks, understanding what it means to work in this industry, you know, and technology and entertainment are akin in that you're only as good as your last rodeo. If you know, like, tech changes so fast. I've been through a lot of jobs in my career. And if you were a regular person, you look at me and be like, well, why do you change jobs so much? It's like, I didn't really change. The industry changed. I had to adapt to keep getting paid, because it just didn't stay the same. And I was trying to keep up with it. And acting, right? Or producing, you got to be on the next big project, right? Not everybody gets an Issa Rae deal, right? Where now she got a studio deal, but how hard did she work? And then she's like, I got a studio deal. She's only as good as that studio deal lasts. They can change that deal if her product doesn't come out the way they think it will, right? They might even pay her off early and she'd be like, yeah, you cool. You got a studio deal, but we ain't going to put nothing on the screen. Hollywood will do that to you, right? They lock you up. Like, you're locked up, you're paid, but you can't produce. You got no distribution, right? Record labels will do that. They'll lock you up. They'll pay you as artist until you deliver that last album. But we ain't going to put that out because that's not good enough. So you owe us your last album until you give us what we want. But just saying, these are the things that I would say. So you can't be weak of heart or mind or integrity or willing to go through a lot of things if you're choosing creative and tech as a path, right? And you always got to keep a side hustle, probably, right? So, Jennifer, the fact that you're talking about wanting to learn, project management, right? There's a project manager, there's a PMP. I got a project manager, Redbox. She has skills to just take a project from beginning to end, and she can do any project, right? But if you apply that project management skills to production, you may be valuable as a line producer, because you have those same kind of skills, right? You just have to say, these skills here are transferable to here. Because when a line producer gig ain't available, can I get a project management gig? Just knowing that I know how to organize something and running a P&L and running a budget. And as Kevin said, delivering on time, on budget, right? Under budget, on time, managing people, right? The people who are the best people are the people you almost don't even pay attention to because they just keep the trains running on time. And you don't even see them, but there's somebody in there making sure that that works. And that's a skill set. Everybody works on efficiency, right? So I got my job in media because I know what I know, but I can make a lot of money for my company with just my amount of time. And everybody gets measured on your how does your contribution net to the bottom line of a project, right? If the project costs this much, how does what you do? So we were talking about trying to hire a production accountant. And the real job of the production accountant is not just to write the budget for the production. Their job is to find all the cost savings and all the ways to make sure you never go over that. And to save you money in the long run, right? A good production accountant doesn't just keep you at budget. A good production accountant says, we've got a contingency budget and I've kept you below real budget and contingency, and you got X amount of dollars left when we get to the end of it. That's a good production accountant, right? Who knows, different than just somebody who's a bookkeeper. So those are some things I would just say. So as we talk about looking at this run of show and efficiency and fitting stuff in and being malleable, all those things are super valuable, in my opinion, that for both production and creative and for the tech world. That's where I think there's this common line, right? But people don't necessarily see it that way. So anyway, hopefully you take some of that and use a piece.
Good oversight. So again, we're really not in a classroom any longer. We're doing all of the processes to try and create an agency that gets hired on a case-by-case basis. Our client at this particular point is the California State University Entertainment Alliance. They are not paying us. And the real, since we should be sending them an invoice that says, hey, this is the cost of our production, and potentially allowing them to understand the value and the cost of this production is this, even if they don't pay us. So at some point, I believe that this is something that we should also do, is have a line item, of all the different expenses, roles, and responsibilities. So I'm hoping at some point Terrence can help us to put together that invoice where everybody is recognized, and then we can put some type of cost to it. Because until we can find somebody that can pay us, we're all working on this one gratis.
But Kevin, I think but I would just say, think about if we were to charge for the service of producing a 1-hour panel, as we're doing, from beginning to end, right? We're bringing the talent, we're bringing the script, we're setting it up from beginning to end, we're bringing all the people. What would somebody pay to have somebody just be able to do that for them, right? And then we need to back into then what are the various roles. I mean, I look at this and said, okay, if we were an agency and we produce 1 hour of programming in a Zoom environment or a Hop-In environment, and again, that's the thing, right? We need to say we're proficient in how you manage Zoom or Hop-In, and we know the differences, and because we want to put on a virtual event for someone, right? What would we charge? $25,000 for an hour, right? Okay, right. Would that be reasonable? 10,000, 5, 15, something. And then we back into, well, here's how you justify those costs, right? There's at least an hour now for the last couple of weeks in production time, right? Call this pre-production. As we get into production mode, there's more hours from all of you, right? So everybody here should be worth $25 an hour minimum, and start thinking of yourself in that way, right? If you were right, so you at baseline, your base rate value, you're not minimum wage. Your minimum wage is going to $15 an hour. 25 is not crazy high, right? And I know lawyers who charge 200, 250 as a discount rate per hour. But the way a lot of these gigs work, it's your role times an hourly cost. A cameraman might be $500 an hour plus their equipment. I mean, or $50 an hour, or again, 500 plus their equipment, 50 an hour with without the equipment, whatever the case may be, right? But think about here. Now here we're just talking about somebody's got to write, somebody's going to have to manage monitoring social media, putting things out between now and then. Somebody's got to manage the flow of questions and things coming in. So I'd love somebody like back channeling or feeding me, right? If I'm the moderator, you got to feed me with, hey, these are the questions we're getting from the audience. Which ones do you want to ask Jeff?
Right. Right. And Terrence, one of the things that I've often thought about, as much as you're capable of doing everything, we may need to find a talent so that you can really produce this thing and not have to have the responsibilities of being in a organic conversation with somebody or somebody's. So
well, I mean,
don't know.
look, in this event, I would rather keep it simple for what we're doing right here because we're 4 weeks out.
Okay. No,
But in general, absolutely, right? In general, what I'd love to do is groom. Look, any one of you guys should see yourselves, or certainly Jennifer, as you see yourself already on screen, see yourself as what would you be as the talent if you were a moderator, perhaps, right? If that's your thing, or how does that work, right? Or Betty, you may see, right? And I know we had talked about those kind of roles, so certainly mirror, ask questions, think about if you were in that role, how would you handle it, right? And certainly what we want to do if you come out of this and pitch as an agency, say yes, of course we have talent that can moderate, that can do this, do that, right? We have everything from beginning to end. Yeah. We can do it all. We bring them all, and that's what you want to come away with, is hopefully that as the pitch from our next perspective, right. and come up with a $25,000 price point and do it on Zoom or hop in or whoever for the next person or the next panel.
Got it. Okay, guys, and I want to keep it tight to 4:30. Couple of shopkeeping things. We're missing a couple of people, and I want to give you some explanation. Judy Reyes had to apologetically bow out. She is, been graceful enough to give me an explanation. Didn't have to, but she's dealing with things and she's out. Marquita, same kind of thing. I just received about 5 minutes ago an email from her, and literally it's been dark since our last meeting about what kind of happened, and I need to give you guys some explanation on the back channels. We, meaning Marquita and I, had maybe a little disagreement in what she believed was her assignment to talk to Dina. And unbeknownst to myself or Terrence, she had a conversation with Dina about things such as the run the show and some of the production elements. And, it got to the point where I started to realize maybe I've set her up or entitled her, or empowered her rather, for a role that I was not thinking that I needed anybody to help me with that particular situation. And so what happens is that I think she has thought about what happened. She kind of understood I was a little upset, even though I said it's not your fault. She still thought that I was a little upset about what happened. And so we've been trying to set up a meeting to talk about what happened, and we haven't been able to do so. But we are going to, and I think she may have an assignment to still be involved, but not on the front end as what she wanted. She wanted to be talent, or she wanted to be a person who could, literally get her feet wet in areas that she had some interest in. But I think with the shopkeeping things that I want to talk to you guys about is that I'd like to have everybody go back in and look at an application that I think some people filled out. But what I've added in there is some kind of code of ethics, business ethics for Dakar that allows everybody to understand, what are the expectations, and just really what are the things that we put in there that kind of help you guys understand how to be good team members. And I'd like you guys to take a look at the application survey, fill it out. And then we also have, an NDA, so that, again, this is something that you guys can be a part of, but no one can, let's say, take this thing lightly and be able to, have, let's say, for lack of a word, just basically have no framework for how we're trying to conduct business with this client. And so those are the kind of things that really I think Terrence is more adept at understanding how business is run, and not necessarily a mentorship program is where we started with this thing. And if we get to, real business folks like Jeff Clanagan, he's going to probably ask, of me, well, who in here has really been in a business environment, and who's possibly capable of understanding that I'm trying to make money. I'm trying to make, leverage. I'm trying to do whatever I can that's not really about teaching or mentoring. Even though it might be some parts of the front end of this thing, at the end of the day, I think Terrence has schooled me a lot more than anybody that, hey, man, the year of not getting paid is over. Okay, so we need to all kind of, buck up a little bit and understand.
To improve your health.
Uh-oh. Was that somebody's TV or? Yeah, that came in from the heavens, man.
Improve your health, right? Look. I think there's business protocol and understanding, and I think the point, if I could reinforce from a business perspective, is just understanding that there's always a flow of conversations, and understanding that clients are valued, right? They're resources of the organization, right? So the clients you may be put in touch with, or the people that you may interact with, are all Dakar's sort of clients' bread and butter business relationships. And so, that's probably taken very seriously in terms of how to approach them and how to manage that, right? And all of you will have the opportunity to be exposed to that. I think it's just making sure that as you go out as representatives of Dakar, you're managing yourself in an appropriate way from a role perspective, and hopefully just always deferring to the conversation that may have been had prior with the car and a particular client, or saying, hey, I'll take this information back, but I'm not promising anything. I mean, the world of business is very much like never promise anything on behalf of your boss. That's business, right? Never promise anything on behalf of something.
And here's an example. Here's an example of what happened. Two examples of what happened with Kevin Hart's organization. One, there was Jeff Clanagan had a guy who was head of business development who had done some speaking and some mentoring, and had set up a pipeline program from Dakar to work at Laugh Out Loud. This was almost 2 years ago. And he left, but what he left me with was a what not to do, and sending me any representatives or recommendations for people he would interview. And so he told me a story about this one person that he hired, and very capable, but around Christmas time, she had access to use his office or the Laugh Out Loud offices for a Christmas party. And it was going to be supervised, but in her haste, in her exuberance, she put out a flyer that basically had Kevin Hart's face and likeness on the flyer, as if Kevin Hart was going to be at the party. And it got back to Shane, and therefore got back to Jeff and everybody else, and they're like, "Oh my God, you signed an NDA."
Yeah.
no good.
Yeah,
And they had to
you
let her
can't
go.
treat Laugh Out Loud like your house.
And so they had to let her go. And I don't know whatever happened to her, what she learned from that, but I understand. He said, you got to leave crazy at the door. And crazy for him is to not understand what everybody has got to understand as a baseline professionalism of, if you don't know, ask somebody before you do it or before you speak. I mean, you know, because any little thing you can do or say, even though you think it's right, you know. And the second thing is that I can't remember what it was, but what was it? Anyway,
If I have the opportunity, this is Betty Bima, I would like to ask
Hey,
a
buddy.
question. Once that opens up, I'll wait, but before the call ends, because I know it's 4:25.
yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead, Betty. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I'm done. I'm done.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure, as we leave this call, I'm going to be clear on my role and the action steps that I'm supposed to be taking from this meeting to the next week. It's important for me because my schedule is very complicated and there's a lot of things I'm working on. So if I could just kind of hone down on exactly the action tasks that I need to do and have ready by next week, that would be very helpful for me.
Right. And so, Terrence, to Betty's point, I've talked to her about some of the things that I know she has some strengths at. She has her own social media channels, one in particular on Instagram. So we need a social media person to take and really help us curate all the stuff that is
Sure.
cleared with Jeff or California State University Entertainment Alliance or any sponsors or partners, so that we can actually put this stuff out there in the world.
Is that a role that you're interested in, Betty? Is sort of running the social media piece and social media marketing, which is going to, of course, require a bunch of approvals, right? And a bunch of us getting stuff cleared to see what can get out there and then how to promote it. But if that's a lane that you're interested in, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I have your resume in the folder. Would love to know. I don't know if you have a video clip or anything else that you would include for your piece, or 2 to 3 minutes. But those would be the two key items I'd look at.
Okay, so as far as social media, would I have to create the content, meaning like the design and all of that is like curating from the ground up?
So I do believe right now it would be from the ground up. We'd have to come up with 1, the social media strategy. 2, who are the partners we're talking about? And 3, how are we going to engage them? So 1, first thing to do is all internal, right? So Kevin, we need to figure out if we're doing it, where is it being shared from, right? Are you sharing it from
that's what I was wondering.
our social media presence?
Right.
What's where are we sharing? Like, what are you going to give up the keys to the Dakar LinkedIn and the Dakar Facebook?
This is what I talked about.
Things,
yeah. So Terrence, I talked to Betty about that very thing, about creating or helping to fortify what existing social channels I have, or to create one just for this team. So like when we did the LA Mission thing, they created an LA Mission Instagram channel. And
I think it's cool, but you don't have as much, like if you're putting it out on the car, and you could create one for this, but you don't have the reach of, like, the car's been out, you at least got some followers somewhere somehow, and then it can go out and be echoed, right? But you can control it. I mean, it could be such that, Betty, you create it and then Kevin posts it or whatever.
I think you're right. I think you're right, because I've actually, I've already got I've got 2 Instagram channels, and they're linked to the LA Mission and some other projects. So I've already got some existing. I've got the storyline that and the followers that will help.
What
Betty.
about Facebook, LinkedIn?
I got
YouTube?
all that. I've got Facebook, Instagram. I got even Snap. I got all those channels, and most of them have the story from the AT&Ts and all Kevin Hart's all the way through.
Then what would be great would be to say, Betty, if you were able to, 1, aggregate the perspective from this project. So it starts with, let's get the message lined up with what California State Education is going to have, right? Because to me, they're the client. So they're going to have what they're going to post on this. We're going to want to hashtag them or link back to them, and then we're going to have our messaging on top, right? And then we need to start prepping this with our messaging and their messaging linking up across all the Dakar channels. And for me, that's all about tune in, right? Putting it out, well, not even tune in, here's what's coming from Dakar. You can't tune in unless you're doing part of it. But certainly teeing up that this is happening for Dakar, and then we need to get the rights for what we could post about it to the public after it happens.
Absolutely.
I think that would be the key,
Okay.
right? So
Yeah,
we cleared images, stories, all that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I need the because I'm not sure if you guys want me to just create it on my own, or if you have assets and elements that I can use in a schedule that I can follow of when to like distribute the content across social media platforms, like, or do you guys want me to create that whole thing myself? So that includes the schedule, that includes like the graphics as far as like the color schemes, the wording, like if there's particular wordings. I haven't received any emails like regarding like.
Right.
We probably don't have any of
That
that
kind
so
of
far.
So-
I mean, I think
okay.
we're at the very beginning.
So Betty, offline, I'll talk to you about that's what we talked about yesterday. If that's something that you can do, let's talk about, what that entails and what kind of, time and effort and even cost. So let's talk about it, because I think we need help from ground up. I mean, because there's so much stuff that we have to streamline just for this audience on the 28th.
Okay.
And all of it is something that we can share with the team so that, people can understand, what the team is putting out there, that's publishable with all the rights and everything that will allow us to understand, what is not only the strategy, but what is really a safe and good practice to put social media, in the pot. Because the California State University Entertainment Alliance, to my point of view, there's not a lot out there. They got a YouTube channel, they've got a Twitter, they've got a Facebook, but it's not populated with a lot of stuff from students.
Yeah,
So
I don't
it's the
see, oh, sorry.
Okay.
As
It's the
far as
overall
the,
target.
oh, my
Oh,
bad.
sorry.
No, go ahead, Cameron.
Oh, no,
yeah, go ahead, Cameron.
I was going to say, as far as the event, I don't see a lot of digital content on the event on April 28th.
No, there isn't any. The only link that I gave Terrence was all I've seen. I scour it because, two of the sponsors that I've talked to have asked, well, what's the outreach? Who's the audience? And how many people are you going to reach? Do you have any, prior history of virtual events from So I don't see anything. And so literally, if it's a late splash, then great. But
I think because it's internal, that's why they're not having to market it, right? It's internal. Their audience is already curated, right?
True
so
that.
It's only after the fact.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, you can't just join this. I mean, I guess you could click that thing to get an invite, and if you said that, they might qualify. But from what I hear, it's not like come on, come off for the open public. But we should talk to Dina and confirm. If I come to that invite, well, how do you qualify who goes to that invite? Because we're assuming it's 3,000 to 6,000 people internal that they've already invited or have at their disposal. Not sure if they would turn it external or what the rules would be if they did so.
Right. And so
that's why I wanted. That's why I wanted to ask, like, what's the basically the bigger picture? What is the purpose of the social media advertising, if there's any?
So social is about this. It's about building up Dakar and the kinds of projects that Dakar can do, and then hopefully, like day of, with the rights that we have, posting what we did, even though you couldn't have seen it, right? But here's an event that Dakar did to set us up in the social channels as an entity who could do this, right?
Like internal projects, or because I'm very interested. So for overall projects that we can do, or for like certain companies that you can do internally for like an industrial style, is that what you're referring to?
I think it's overall. Look, I think the name of the game, if I hear Kevin correctly, the outcome of this work would be Dakar has a group of folks who can run like a digital agency and have experience. And here's an example of an event that they've done, maybe at the beginning, right? But we want to show that we have the ability to do this for anybody. Because in the end, you want somebody to reach out to Dakar and say, oh, that was a cool event you guys did for, Cal State University Educational Entertainment Alliance. Can you do something like that for us?
Yeah. And really
like productions in general.
Yeah, it's a brag book. It's
Okay.
it's your resume.
Brand
It's just something to
building.
say.
Yeah, and
Brand
it-
building,
it-
brag
it-
book, all those other
right.
words that
It's
you're right on point.
It's anything you can imagine, from a T-shirt all the way to a sizzle reel, and anything that can scale beyond, above and
Well,
beyond.
and in the short term, you want to engage the car in general with relevant audiences, right?
Yeah.
Like if I was doing anything in the meantime in social, I would try to figure out, could I build followers or hashtags or partnerships to get people who might be in the same world as us, or maybe aligned, or aspirationally we want to be aligned with them, involved, right? If we could get somebody to give us a shout out or somebody to retweet something, right now you're just trying to build those lines. So when we post something, it goes to more people. So right now, if you look at it, between now and this event, you're just trying to build some story around Dakar capabilities, and here's an upcoming thing that's the next thing Dakar is doing.
Okay.
Right.
Right. And then the outcome is, after it's done, hey, check out what we just did with the California Education Alliance, Jeff Clanagan, and you want to get the right, just have a picture of the screen, right, with Jeff on there, like where Kevin is right now, and the rest, and boom, you want to get the right to be able to put that out there on behalf of Dakar, social media. This is, here's what we just did, and did defer back to Dina and the rest, and try to get some love. But you want to first, who are we activated with right now? I would argue the social media presence for Dakar maybe hasn't had anything up there since whenever the last one was.
No, it hasn't had anything there in a long time. And I will say, even the UCLA event, which was probably the biggest, milestone event, no social media. I got nothing out of the whole thing other than the fact that I know I did it. So I can't stress enough that this is a chance. And I've got some people who want to do some stories on us. LA Times.
Oh yeah, the LA
Huffington
Times
Post,
people, yeah, sure.
Huffington Post. But I don't have enough right now to shoot or use the last bullet I have with LA Times and Huffington Post to say, yeah, we got some great stuff that you want to cover next. So I'm holding back from even talking to them about LA Times, about the California State University Terminal. It's just not enough. So yeah. I'm saying to you guys, let's just put as much stuff out that we can get permission about what it is we're doing, who we are as an agency, and I guarantee you they will come. The people we talked to at JP Morgan Chase just today, we've got a conversation with another organization tomorrow. So let's just continue to do.
So Betty, it sounds like you're starting from scratch, and you need to think about Dakar as think about it as an agency that has yet to launch. Think about this as a launch event. There's been other things, right? But think about, how would you approach this if you were trying to build a brand to get some kind of recognition, try to get some people attuned to a message from Dakar, and then when this happens, hit it that week, right when it happens, that week following, to get as much engagement as you might. And that would be the goal. If I were hiring you to do this, I would hire you and say, that's your objective. You have 3 weeks to help build the Dakar brand in the short term, such that we can then come out of the box with this thing we do with Jeff Clanagan, which is a chance to get noticed. He's in the news too. That's why I brought that deadline article.
And will I be using anything like logos or anything from CSU? Their color schemes, logos, or anything like that? Or
you have all that, right? You have Dakar branding.
I have to use a lot of those logos for a lot of the stuff. So Betty, what I'm going to do, I have this master thing that I call the proof of concept deck. It's actually a spreadsheet of 30 years of work of things that I have done with logos and the whole bit. It's overwhelming. But for now, I think if you can take the last couple of years of what we're doing, what we've done, especially with LA Mission, and I don't know, but the Compton stuff is still relevant.
But the CSU Entertainment Alliance has been a partner of Dakar for a couple of years already.
Oh yeah, for a couple of years. So I mean, there's a relationship. Digital
so
Hollywood.
Can we use their logo? I think was Betty's question.
There's a lot of stuff.
Can we get the logo though from CSU for this entertainment summit to use in pre, or do you have to wait until it happens, right? Can we say we're about to do this event?
I will ask Dina. I'll ask Dina, because Dina just sent another, I just looking at my emails. Dina just sent an email because I gave her an abstract. She says, yeah, let's work on tightening up the abstract and share. I wanted her to see it so that I can get some fire back from her. I'll share with you.
Sure.
Dina. So literally she's looking for all of the things that we can do today to say this is where she can start to take a red pen and say, I like this, I like that. And our ask back to her is not only the logo, but any other social media channels or any other content that she has that we can get permission to repurpose. So,
Sure.
so that's what I'm gonna, so when we send the email back to her on the ask of what she's asking to do to tighten up the event for publication, because all I see and what they have is just the title of event and then the organization that's sponsoring, Sony, the Oscars, Adobe. They don't have any abstracts or anything that allows it to be published, I mean, linkable so that people can see the broader panel. So I think we should have that in our back pocket, but I think all she needs is something that can plug us in to whatever it is that they're going to be pushing out internally to the people who are guaranteed to get an invite.
Okay.
Okay, and also I had a question about the reels. So you'll be using the reels for the actual programming, but I'm wondering, will I have access to the talent on this call today for videos, so I can create like social media assets? Like for
Yeah,
instance, if I need you guys to submit clips or anything like that, will I have access to anyone? Or
well, that's why I've been asking everybody to submit something to the Google Drive so that it's community. So if people put their content, no matter what they believe is good, just put stuff out there so that we can figure out who and how you can be used as part of the story.
So Jennifer, being the person who did put a reel up, and you have one,
Yeah.
would you be cool if we use your reel, or Betty?
Yeah, definitely. I can also
Talk about
edit it
you
up
first.
or chop it up, or I have a lot more content.
Jennifer,
so.
you can edit too?
Oh, well, I have a partner friend that does that. So I'll just tell her, he's my bestie. So every time I ask her to edit, she'll just do it for me.
Right. I've talked to Cameron. Cameron can do some editing.
Cameron,
So
Great.
Yeah. So Cameron. So literally, I've talked to everybody individually, but we do need to look at starting to put together individual intros of everybody's who would
are
wear
you cool
how,
if she uses your reel?
And when is the due date for that?
like yesterday.
Whenever, right? I mean, your reel
Yeah, I
when you
didn't
submit
even
it, I
know.
think is pretty cool. But I mean, if you wanted to edit or submit something different for social, whatever, right?
Yeah, I want to submit like an introduction and everything.
Yeah.
And
I would edit mine the same way and do an introduction as well. I think that's
why don't both of you guys then work on what you would be okay, upload it to the drive, Betty, give permission. Now here's the deal. We should come up with a quick permission thing, right? Let's do it for real, right? You guys are providing the car the rights to use your likeness and image in your reel in social media, right? This is business, right? In a business world, you would provide us content. And by the way, this is what I'd want to get from other people. I don't know if Cal State's going to do all this stuff, right? But if we had other individuals that were working on that, you'd want an agreement that protected that car at a minimum, that said, hey, you're just giving us the right. So if you put anything out there, laugh out loud, an email is going to have to suffice if they give us permission to use that stuff. But normally, if you were going to use anything with Jeff's or Laugh Out Loud logo, the course of business would be to have a paper trail that says, so the only reason I suggest that we do that internally is so you guys might get used to the paper trail you might be required to have. So Betty, I mean, I'll work with you. I'll handle that, right? But that way, you as a social media person gets rights from talent to use their likeness in our social media campaign.
yeah, and I don't think I would use like unless you guys specifically want me to, I wouldn't use the reels for the social media advertising. But I would use like a script that I would email to people, and if they could say what's in the script to promote the event,
that's
what
perfect.
I would use.
Go ahead,
that
Betty.
sounds great.
Something uniform. Yeah.
That's
There
great,
you
Betty.
go. There you go.
Yeah,
And
and
that would
see,
be
I have
doing
friends
your
that
job.
use
You're
my
adding
stuff too. So
value.
if you send it, Betty, I can, shoot whatever and have it edited and sent to you. So that'd
Definitely.
be awesome.
And also, is that going to be used during the production, like for the intros?
So you guys can choose what you want in the production, right? So I'm giving each of you guys 3 minutes. Think about how you want to use that 3 minutes between you talking and you setting yourself up for what you want to play. But that's your time, right? The one thing that I want you to get out of this, right, is you guys at least get 3 minutes of your time to present yourself as we're going into this. And so, but you have complete control over that part.
Right. And Terrence, to that point, what I really think would happen if Jeff saw that you three people are really not just people we recommend, who could get an interview, but we really worked hard to put this thing together. that's going to be more than just a reel or some portfolio piece. He's going to see you in real time. Oh, these are the people that, okay, all right, yeah, this is cool. And again, presence is everything. Ownership of the moment is everything. And that's why I just make sure that everybody that is going to put their best foot forward realizes that this is your name on the line, and you're trying to get somebody to give you fair market value for what you really did, not for what you can put on a piece of paper or on a reel. So that's the spirit for which I'm hoping that everybody, including if it's the JP Morgan Chase people, see you guys. I've pledged to this person that you guys are real folks who, if given the chance, can produce content for them even. So any questions, suggestions, or comments before we break? Because I know we went way over. Anybody else have anything? Okay.
That was really good.
All
Thank
right.
you, guys.
All right, cool. And Terrence, I'll call you right back.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Hi,
All right,
guys.
guys. All right.
Bye.
All right, bye.